Hello and welcome to the Cowboy Chronicles, the Oklahoman's Oklahoma State football podcast. I am your host, Scott Wright. Joined this week, first-time guest, Tyler Waldrep.
Took you long enough.
Right, exactly. Well, let's be fair. Last year you worked for a company that I was not allowed to bring on the podcast.
Absolutely.
So I apologize for that. But this season, we'll get to have you on. You're at Pistols Firing with the good friend of the podcast, Marshall Scott. So thank you very much for joining.
Absolutely. Glad to be on.
Absolutely. All right. We're going to talk about a very interesting day that we had here. It's been a very busy Monday. We got to talk to Doug Meacham. We got to talk to Clint Bowen, which I was not expecting. And all of a sudden he just walked around the corner and it was like, hey, here you go. It was great. We got to talk to some players. We'll discuss kind of our thoughts on this team in this really weird situation that they're in right now. And we'll have some fun here and have some beer. Let's start with what are you drinking for your first appearance here on the show?
I think it's the
Neon Sunshine. Is that what you went with?
I think so, yeah.
Staple. Always. It is absolutely my favorite beer that they have here. So excellent choice for your first appearance on the show. I went with the Spy. I try to get something new every time, and this one is a collaboration with the Spy KOSU, the radio station that's affiliated with lots of different places throughout the state. Got a buddy that works there. Glad to help support him as well in this whole endeavor. So I want to remind everybody that is watching on YouTube, jump in the comments on YouTube, go and predict your score for OSU Arizona, and you can win a beer that I will drink for you on next week's show. And it works out every week. Somebody always wins a beer. And I drink for them.
Is that a prize for them or you?
Oh, it's absolutely for me. I don't disguise that at all. But I love that they have so much fun playing the game. That's not true. Last week, several comments on the video. Nobody actually predicted a score, so I don't know. They didn't want to give away that they all thought Baylor was going to win. I don't know what the feeling was, but here we are. So jump in there. Now's your chance to show your loyal and true side. Predict the Oklahoma State Arizona score and have a chance to win a beer that I can drink next week. All right. With that, let's talk just a little bit about the Baylor game. Certainly more promising than I would have expected it to be. Agree?
I left going. It's tough because the team didn't win and it wasn't even really close in the fourth quarter. Yet, compared to where my expectations were when we showed up that morning, I felt like the team might as well have won. Vastly exceeded my expectations, especially on offense.
Yeah, absolutely. And you hit on the main point. My main takeaway from that night was I've never covered a team that just lost by 18 points, and it had that vibe in the post-game interview session. It was a very strange feeling, but you could tell that they were really excited about what they had done, and that matters right now for a team that's going through firing of your head coach, now the firing of your defensive coordinator. Got two new guys in those two spots. It's going to be really important for them to remain positive. And that's where I think Doug Meacham becomes such an integral figure in this team. There's no pretending that any of this really matters beyond this season because it's all going to be a clean break, new coaching staff, a lot of new players for the most part. But to get through the next now 8 games, it feels like Doug Meacham is the perfect guy. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and I think the guys tried to stave this off as long as possible, but last year, I don't know if you felt this way, Scott, but I just felt like showing up, it wasn't that the guys didn't care, but at some point you just lose so much. It's hard to show up and talk during the week and after these losses and be positive.
Right.
And Saturday, the guys were smiling. I think they cracked jokes, which was just such a stark difference from where this team was almost every loss last season.
Yeah, absolutely. The emotion of this team is in as good a place as it could possibly be right now, I would say. We got, as I mentioned, got to talk to Clint Bowen, who was on Saturday an offensive analyst and Sunday defensive coordinator on an interim basis. Quite a change, but just in the brief 17 minutes that we talked to him, I think he too has the kind of attitude to handle the position that he's in. What were your thoughts on your first time visiting with Clint Bowen?
Yeah, and he felt like, and he didn't address Grantham's departure.
No.
But he was very, if I remember correctly, I think his kind of opening spiel to us was just, I don't believe players can ever make mistakes. If a player goes out and does something wrong, we coached him wrong, we put him in the wrong spot, we should have had a different guy there. We screwed up at some point before that moment ever happened.
Right.
And I don't know that we didn't get the chance to talk to Grantham about his view on that, but I will say, whenever we talk to players, they said great things about Grantham, but we were talking about this earlier. They always started with, I would just be like, "What is Grantham like?" And they'd go, and then they'd say intense.
Right.
And I mean, I don't feel like if we talk to guys 2 weeks from now, what's Clint Bowen like? I don't think they're going to go that have that 1,000-yard stare.
Right.
So I mean, I do think he's probably going to coach these guys a lot different.
Yeah, I agree. And to be fair to Grantham, a lot of the players seemed to enjoy the way that he coached, but it was a very different environment than what they were used to.
Yeah, couldn't imagine a more different. Based on what we heard from Clint today, I couldn't imagine two guys that would coach players differently.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we don't know really what went into the decision to fire Todd Grantham. We don't really know for sure who was involved in that. It sounds like it was a small group that were kind of all on the same page. But I think the blending of personalities between Doug Meacham and Todd Grantham was difficult to do because they're opposite ends of the football spectrum. That Meacham, if you cast a movie about this football team, like Matthew McConaughey has to play Meacham. And I don't know, who was it, George C. Scott that played Patton in Patton? That would be who has to play Grantham. It's like that's how far away they are on the personalities. And I'm not saying that either one is right or wrong. It's just that they're very different. Yeah. And trying to blend those together was going to be, I think, a real challenge. So I think they did what probably needed to be done in this setting, and I think that they're going to be able to maintain a more positive atmosphere. Now,
I mean, could you imagine the offensive players? When we talked to the guys after the game, I don't know if you're around, but some of the guys were talking about how the music was going different. They were talking about the vibe. Could you imagine if the offensive players were dancing, or I don't know what exactly they're doing, but
right.
They're having fun with Meacham, and then on the other side, the defensive guys, we've got Grantham, intense, running things with a drill instructor.
Yeah.
That would be tough.
It would be. It really would. Now, all of this talk and all this positivity, I don't know if it leads to another win on the schedule anywhere. I still think OSU is the underdog in every game the rest of the way. Can they win a game though?
I've said this. I said this after Tulsa. I feel more confident after Baylor. I think this team will win a game. Now, I'm not going to put money on any game specifically.
Right.
I think it's really hard in college football to win all your games. I also think it's kind of hard to lose all your games. I mean, it's a weird sport. Fumbles will just happen. Special teams plays will just happen. Mm-hmm. And I think, I don't know, maybe I'm too close. I feel like this team is more talented than last year's overall. The talent's more spread out.
Right.
They don't need to rely on Colin Oliver or Ollie Gordon to carry them.
Yeah.
So I think this team will win a game. I also think their Big 12 opponents aren't that tough.
Right.
I think they can win some of these games. I said some of these games. Currently, I'm predicting one more win this season.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm not going to tell you which one because I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. I could see them maybe grabbing two if things, they get a little bit of momentum going. And it could be here within the next few weeks. You look at Houston and Cincinnati back-to-back at home. Yeah. That could be an area where they get some momentum and things are feeling good. And you'll play Texas Tech in Lubbock, and that all turns south. But I absolutely think they could. I'm not predicting, but I think that it's possible that they could pick up a couple of wins down the stretch here, and like I said, I don't know what that means for anything. If you got a whole new staff and a bunch of new players in here, they're not going to remember that you went 3-9 2 years in a row, or whatever it was, or 1-10 last year, or 1-12 or 11, if I can do math. So it doesn't really matter, but it does on a certain level to these guys, and what the effort that they're putting forward, and to, I think, on some level, to what you're showing to your next coach about what kind of program you're building that goes beyond what's happening between the lines. So I think that's an important factor going forward. I don't know if they can do it or not. We'll see what it looks like this week and beyond. One thing that you asked Meacham about this today, and I'm sure we both wrote about it after Saturday. Sam Jackson is the most fascinating thing about this team for me right now. You agree?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm not sure if everyone watching the game clocked it because the quarterback stuff was so interesting. He lined up at tailback for a couple plays, and I mean, it seems like maybe outside of offensive line, they're willing to let him play whatever position he wants to go out there and do it.
Yeah.
And I asked Sam after the game, I said, were you surprised how involved you were? And he said, if I'm being honest, I thought I might be a little more involved than I was.
Yeah.
I mean, which I thought was kind of crazy. I mean, just how involved he was, how much the offense was tailored to him. And I think we're probably just going to see that. Unless, the offense starts to nosedive because of it, I think the offense will probably keep adding a couple plays from each week.
Right. I mean, you can even look back at some of the plays that they ran and see where they had other stuff off of that. Like they had one where they ran Flores in kind of a reverse motion out of the slot and they like faked a pitch. They could pitch to him now and he's throwing the ball.
Yeah.
All sorts of stuff. But yeah, Jackson. So he caught passes. He ran the ball. He threw passes. He took snaps and like tossed it to Trent Howland a couple of times. Like literally, he was Bugs Bunny out there and just doing a little bit of everything, and it was really intriguing to watch. And well, I'll ask the question rather than just asking you to agree with my opinions, because I've done way too much already in this show. Where does he rank on your list of favorite people to talk to on this team?
Oh gosh, that's tough. I think at least third, probably.
He's way up there. Way up the list.
Asking him, it was funny. I asked him so many questions Saturday. Other people started to just leave. I was told, like, you can just turn the lights out when you leave the room. Like, I think I did 20 minutes with him, and I could have kept talking to him. He speaks like a quarterback.
Yes,
and that's like, that's not a slam against other guys, but like quarterbacks, because they have to know so much, they think about football differently than most of their teammates. And Sam talks like a quarterback when he talks, and he was commenting on stuff things the offense can do that can help the defense, things the defense that can do that can help set up the offense. And it's like, wide receivers and running backs, they're not talking about, if the linebackers do this when we're on offense, we'll be better. And the fact that Sam is thinking about it that way is, absolutely. It's hard to compare that to other guys just because it's so interesting to hear him talk.
Yeah, he was fascinating. Loved him back after the spring game when we got to talk to him. Yeah. I would have to put some real thought into it. He might be number one on my list.
He could be. I'm conservatively going 3 in case I'm getting caught up in the moment.
Right.
I know you mentioned the spring game. I have him down as returning a kick this year, and I haven't lost faith in that.
I can see it.
I mean, I think he's their best return guy that we've seen, and based on what we saw in the spring game, I think he'll break one at some point. I mean, if he gets the chance, teams aren't giving him very many opportunities.
Right, right. The really tricky thing with him at wide receiver, you've also got Gavin Freeman, who I think is really good with the ball in his hands. Royal Capel is starting to look like a guy that can be a really valuable receiver, and all 3 of those guys are your slot receivers. I don't know how you figure out how to get 3 slot receivers on the field at the same time exactly, but I think they would help the offense if they get those guys on the field more and spread them out and give them some more opportunities in some open field situations, because they need some go-to guys in this receiver group that we haven't really seen them rely on one guy a whole lot so far.
Well, I thought it was going to be Christian Fitzpatrick.
Right,
and
right, exactly.
He was not completely a non-factor Saturday.
Right, yeah.
Like he wasn't even on the field.
Yeah, no, I hardly saw him out there at all. He had the 2 drops against Tulsa that came in really crucial situations. So I don't know if that's got him in the doghouse right now or if there's something beyond that, but certainly felt like he was the guy that they're kind of moving on from right now. Obviously, Shamar Rigby was the guy that led in targets and tied for the lead in receptions. So really interesting to see how that develops, because there are situations where you just need to know you've got a guy you can go throw the ball to on 3rd and 8, and he's going to get you 9 yards. And I don't know that they've got that right now. So
I know sometimes coaches, at least when they talk to us, they say they don't need this.
Right.
Whether it's basketball, football, when I need like a first down or when I need a shot, I just want to have a guy, and I don't care if everybody in the stadium knows that that's the guy I want to get the ball to. Yeah. I just want to have a guy that I'm building that around. And currently they don't have a guy. The fact that Royal Capella is playing was like he was getting like a handful of plays every week until Baylor, and all of a sudden he's like maybe a main factor going forward.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting. I'm curious to see how that develops. Running back is always curious to watch. It's
Yeah.
a different guy every week. That is not only the number one guy, but also the number two guy, honestly. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the StoneCloud six-pack here at the end of the show. But, you know, right now, at least, we haven't seen a lot from Caleb Hicks in a while. I don't know if that's an injury situation that we haven't heard about. He wasn't on any injury reports last week. But right now it feels like the Howland Fields combo is kind of your best sort of thunder and lightning type duo to kind of play off each other and do some different things. And do you think that's they settle into being just kind of those two guys, or are we going to keep seeing 3 and 4 guys getting heavily involved every week, you think?
My theory is coming into the year, it was going to be Fields.
Yeah.
Because I think they built everything around Fields is the main guy. We'll sprinkle in Freddie and whoever else, and Caleb maybe. Mm-hmm. And I think Fields, he's hurt that first game. They don't need him, so they sit him.
Yeah.
They bring him along slowly against Oregon, so he's still not really a main factor. And then he's the guy at Tulsa. He was the guy they went to early against Baylor, and then Trent. I think Trent was kind of a hot hand situation.
Yeah.
So, I think their whole rotation I think they never really had a rotation. I think it was always going to be Rodney, and then the other guys are kind of fighting for scraps. Right. And then when Rodney was out, all of a sudden it was like, wait, who do we play?
Right.
And Caleb won that somehow and then lost it.
Yeah. Yeah.
For reasons unknown to me.
Right. Very interesting. Talked a lot of offense. It's hard to talk about the defense, especially right now. I don't know. I mean, I think the main thing that you need to see from this defense is just simplifying things, and I assume or it sounded like. I'm not assuming it's what it sounded like from Bowen, but that's kind of what he just wants to do, right?
I started. I don't know if you felt this way Saturday, but I started to have flashbacks to last year. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Baylor felt like they could run at will. Felt like 3rd and long, they had Oklahoma State right where they wanted, and just missed tackles. But the first 2 games, they played an FCS team, but then they played Oregon. They didn't miss tackles against Oregon.
Right.
Now, they were misaligned completely against Oregon sometimes, and Oregon was super fast. But if they were there, they made awesome tackles against Oregon.
Yep.
But all of a sudden, the team just forgot how to tackle. I can't totally rationalize why, but to me, I think that's the biggest thing. And so, I think Clint talked a lot about simplifying things, and we just want guys to stand in the right place, feel confident, and react.
Yeah.
And the only concern I have is I feel like Gundy said those same things all of last year. So, maybe Clint knows how to get past talking about it to actually doing it. But I'm a little concerned at how much they keep missing tackles.
Yeah, absolutely. Even a guy like Brian McCoy, who had no missed tackles for 2 weeks and looked like one of the best tacklers on the planet. I think he ended up having 4 missed tackles and only 3 tackles against Tulsa, and then I don't know.
Yeah, he missed 5. He missed 5.
5 in that game.
I think he only missed 1 against Baylor.
Yeah.
Which, we don't know exactly how many tackles because we don't know where exactly he's supposed to be. But I do feel like he looked better, which is so maybe he just had an off day.
Right. Yeah.
I think the team kind of has to hope because they kind of need him to be
absolutely
superhuman tackler.
Yeah, exactly. They really do. In the middle of that defense, he looks incredibly important. They got to get the secondary figured out, and I think that's going to be Bowen's first objective. And then maybe you can let the guys on the edge kind of do some work for you and help control some things. But I want to talk transfer portal. There have been 2 guys now, unless there's been somebody in the last hour here, which is absolutely possible. Dylan Smith and Shea Frybaum, both true juniors. They can redshirt now, still have 2 years of eligibility. You never prepare for the long snapper going in the transfer portal. No. That's one you're never ready for. But I would say not surprised by either of those guys. Probably more surprised that there weren't a few others at this point. Do you feel that way as well?
Yeah, and I mean, now, to be fair, and I'm sure you did this, I looked, once you have a coaching change, you look at the roster and go, who has a decision to make?
Right.
I think I could only come up with about 8 names, and that did stretch it. There's obviously the freshmen that, most of which haven't played at all.
Yeah.
There's only about 8 key-ish guys. Mm-hmm. From a defensive standpoint, I think Dylan Smith was at the top of the list, though. That was the the guy with the most potential who had the option to leave.
Right.
So yeah, I'm a little. I guess I'm a little surprised there's not more, but there's not that many guys who have a decision to make, and I wouldn't be shocked if between now and Friday night we have another one or two more announcements.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And to your point, if you're not playing and you're getting an NIL check of some kind, you're better off to just hang out and redshirt anyway, rather than, I can understand if you just want to get out and get your fresh start and get on down the road, that's fine. But, the fear that there were going to be like dozens of players jump in the portal, I think was silly, because there's reasons for these guys to be here, even if they're leaving at the end of the year.
Yeah, and most of the key guys, just to be frank, they can't redshirt.
Right,
so,
exactly.
Like, you can opt out of the year, and some of these guys, it's their last year. So, okay, you could just stop playing football, which these guys don't want to do.
No.
So, most of these guys, whether they want to or not, they're kind of trapped here, at least for this year. And, like you said, if you're not playing, like, there's no reason. The only reason to enter the portal now is to preserve your eligibility. Mm-hmm. So, if you hit your once you hit 4 games, you have a decision to make. But if you're not playing, like, you might as well keep practicing and see. You don't know what's going to happen this year. I mean, maybe Oklahoma State hires this knockout coach that you would love to be here for, and you don't want to start things off with that coach being, oh, I went in the portal, and that coach can just be like, I don't really care if you're here.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That was kind of my thought. You don't know what's going to happen, but guys got to make their own decisions.
Yeah.
What's best for them. All right. With that, I think it's time for the StoneCloud 6-pack.
Okay.
So let's jump into it here. Of course, the first 3 are on football. Number 1, will Arizona score 40 points this week? We've seen the struggles of this defense are giving up, I think it's around 35 a game for the season. It's higher than that, obviously, for FBS opponents. 550 yards a game against FBS opponents. Will the Wildcats get to 40 on Saturday?
Coming into the year, I didn't think that much about Arizona. They've actually played better than I thought. Mm-hmm. But I can't say no with how the defense looked. And now you're telling me Dylan Smith isn't going to be out there? And Baylor torched Dylan Smith a few times, I think. Mm-hmm. But that was one game, and he was just historically one of their better playmakers. Right. So, I'm going to say because of that, Arizona probably does score 40.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. I think that is. I think that's the range that they get to. All the things that Bowen said about what he wants to do with the defense are great and the right things, but it's Monday, and he's just now getting ready to practice with them for the first time as their defensive coordinator. So I think expecting too much this week is a little bit foolish.
And he still hasn't finished Arizona. He's still watching. He's still watching film.
Still watching film.
I mean, he watched. I don't think we mentioned this. Mm-hmm. He spent the weekend watching Arizona's defense.
Right. Yes.
Breaking that down for the offense.
Yes. To give that information to me.
By the way, we want you to run the defense.
Yeah.
And so he told us, he was like, last night at after midnight.
After midnight.
Finally started looking. I mean, that was his first chance.
Yes. Exactly.
So
yeah. Crazy situation for him. All right. Back to the running back and specifically Rodney Fields. We've seen him. He went over 100 yards rushing against Tulsa. He went over 100 yards from scrimmage, mostly receiving, on Saturday against Baylor. Either option, scrimmage yards or rushing yards or receiving yards, if you want to go that direction. Will he get over 100 yards from scrimmage? Just total.
Yeah.
From scrimmage.
If you let me do scrimmage, I'll definitely do scrimmage.
From scrimmage.
I'm going to say yes because, I think he is probably the playmaker for this team.
Yeah.
I think he has the safest role in the offense. Mm-hmm. Trent, I think he's doing well, but I think Meacham kind of alluded to Trent having a bad spring. So, if Trent fumbled, which I'm not saying he's going to, I could see Trent just suddenly not playing.
Right.
I think Rodney, no matter what happens, is going to have a huge role. So, I think Rodney has to go over 100 for this team to keep it competitive.
Yeah. I think so too. I think it'll be more on the ground. He had 75 receiving yards Saturday. The one big catch which was phenomenal. But while I still expect him to be involved in the passing game, I think he finds some more room to run on the ground this week. All right, number 3 in the StoneCloud 6-pack, combining sacks and takeaways for the OSU defense. Will they have 3 or more total against Arizona? combination, sacks and turnovers.
There's no good reason I should say yes to this. I did look, because you told me about this question. I did look. Arizona, I think, has given up, 3 sacks, 2 sacks, 2 sacks, but then they only gave up 1 against Iowa State. There's no reason I should pick this. I'm going to, because we saw OSU's team play better when they made a change last week. I think, and we see that like at the NFL, right? Sometimes you change coaches and the team just inexplicably plays better.
Right.
I'm going to say the defense just inexplicably gets, maybe we get 1 or 2 interceptions and we get 1 or 2 sacks. So yeah, I'm going to say they get 3 or more.
All right, I'll take it. I'm going to say no on this one. I feel like they're going to be basic enough that they're not going to put themselves necessarily in a lot of positions for that. I think they probably look a little bit more solid conceptually, but I don't see the sacks and turnovers coming this week. So, all right. With that brings us to the part that I know you've been super excited for since I told you about it. We are drafting, and the theme for the draft this week, inspired by Sam Jackson V, is Samuel L. Jackson. I don't want to say movies, I don't want to say roles, because anything Samuel L. Jackson is on the table. Whatever direction you want to go, a quote, literally anything is on the board for this. So, with that, since I'm such a nice guy, you get to pick first.
Okay.
Here in the draft.
So I'll just go ahead and tell you, I think I'm going to go roles all the way down.
Perfectly fine.
I think I'm going to pick Nick Fury in all the Marvel movies.
Very nice.
I grew up reading comics, but the reason this was my first pick was because back in like 2000, Marvel decided to make a new line of comic books, and Nick Fury was traditionally a white character, and they made Nick Fury look exactly like the artist. Actually, literally has done interviews where he drew the character to look like Samuel L. Jackson. And Samuel L. Jackson got his agent to call Marvel, and they were like, "Oh, our bad. If we make movies like I can't. I read interviews, so hopefully this is right. But they said, like, according to the thing I just read, they said the role is yours if we ever make movies. And I just love that, like, some guy loved Nick Fury or loved Samuel L. Jackson enough that he just decided to make a character look like him, and that Samuel L. Jackson turned that into what? Who knows how many millions of dollars that he's made doing that?
Right.
And I like watching him in those movies.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. All right, my first pick, I'm going with the character that he played, his role in Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Okay.
That was a very influential movie series in my youth. And that one came out, I want to say I was in high school. I meant to check the year before we started recording here, and I forgot to. But I want to say it was in like a mid-'90s range. And that movie I was fascinated with because, they had the little games that they had to play with the killer.
Mm-hmm.
They had it had so much water in this jug. You had to get it into this jug at the right amount and all that. I was fascinated by that whole scene and Samuel L. Jackson's performance in that. And and that was right before he got into some of the Tarantino roles and things like that, and really became this incredible actor. But that one was always fun for me. It was a fun movie that was, like I said, that whole series was a very important through line in my youth.
That was on my short list. It's funny. I think the first Die Hard is the best Die Hard.
Yes, I agree.
Unless I'm watching that movie, and then for those like 2 hours,
that's the best.
I start to go, is this the best Die Hard movie? And it's because Samuel L. Jackson's in it. He makes that movie awesome.
He absolutely does. Yeah, he's phenomenal. Really quick, Die Hard Christmas movie, yes or no?
I say yes.
I'm fine with yes. I have no problem with that. I'm completely on board.
It's not the movie I want to watch on Christmas, but like it takes place at Christmas, and I'm cool. Like if there's a Christmas tree in the movie, I'm okay with you saying it's if there's lights or whatever, it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, works for me. All right, pick number 2 to you.
Okay, I'm gonna kind of smuggle. I just put, because it was tough to pick one, his involvement with Tarantino's films.
Absolutely, perfectly fine.
Like, he has so many great roles. I think a lot of people probably think of Pulp Fiction as the bigger one. I don't know if you've seen Hateful Eight.
I have.
But for people who haven't seen it, he sort of falls into this like detective role. It's like the whole movie's like almost a whodunit mystery. And Samuel L. Jackson falls into this great detective role, and he, like, everyone else is kind of a like supporting character, and Samuel L. Jackson is like the force of the movie the entire time.
Right.
And that is like right there with Pulp Fiction for my favorite Tarantino movie. So yeah, for me, like if I had to pick one, that would be it. But I just love watching him in every Tarantino movie he's in.
Yeah, no, same. I can't think of one that I have disliked.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably could have limited this to just him in Tarantino movies, and we would have had an equally entertaining.
We could have done more than 3.
You're right, exactly. And for my next pick, I'm sticking with a Tarantino movie, but I'm going specifically with the car conversation about the Royale with cheese.
Yeah.
Because the whole line, and it's really the punchline is more with John Travolta, but when he goes, what do they call a Whopper? And he goes, I don't know, I didn't go to Burger King. That is, I laugh way harder than I should in that scene, and obviously for other reasons. But that whole the Royale with cheese and that whole bit is one of my favorite.
I don't know why. For whatever reason, I'd seen a couple of Tarantino's films. I'd never seen Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah.
Until it was in my English 101 college class, I was told you have to watch one of these 4 movies, and I just picked Pulp Fiction because I was like, well, I like Tarantino's stuff. But I went into it going, oh, I have to watch Pulp Fiction. I think that's the opening scene of Pulp Fiction. If not, it's pretty close. The diner might be the opening, and then they go to that. Yeah. But I think I viewed that as an assignment until I'm with them in the car, and all of a sudden I'm like, I don't care that I'm I was like, this is no longer an assignment. This is like a fun night for me.
Right.
I'm delighted to be here, and I think those two guys just talking about just dumb stuff like anybody would about what do you call it? Yeah. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Final pick from you, Tyler.
I went with Mace Windu in Star Wars.
Very nice.
And I went with that. So I grew up watching the what a lot of people say are the bad Star Wars, but the episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
But I loved his character, but I also thought it's cool that he has a purple lightsaber. I was like, that's awesome. Everybody else has blue or green, and then the bad guys have red. He has purple, and I was like, that's awesome. And then you get older and you find out why was his purple? Because Samuel L. Jackson said, I want a purple lightsaber. Yeah. And I think Samuel L. Jackson's one of the only guys that could have said, hey, my lightsaber's purple, and he gets it.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic pick. Again, there were so many good and major things we could have gone with here. I'm going into the weeds for my final pick. There's a chance you haven't even seen this movie because I believe I'm right. You do not have kids, correct?
I do not have kids.
That's what I thought. So I'm guessing you probably have not seen Turbo.
I've not seen Turbo.
It's about a snail who gets superpowers and starts racing against cars in NASCAR and Formula One races.
Yeah. Naturally,
of course. And Ryan Reynolds plays the main snail, but Samuel L. Jackson plays a guy named Whiplash, who is part of this racing gang of snails. And then Turbo comes in, and he's faster than all of them, and so then it becomes their goal to get him to the Indy 500. Anyway, Snoop Dogg is one of the other snails. There's a lot of fun characters that are in there, but Whiplash was always my favorite, mostly because of one line in particular, where he and Turbo are going back and forth, and Turbo, they call him the garden snail. He's kind of the country bumpkin type snail, and Whiplash has this line when they're going back and forth. He goes, "Your trash talk is needlessly complicated," and so for context, this was right around this time my son was like 3 or 4, and so I watched this movie probably 20 times. Yeah. Just because I was forced to watch it 20 times because my son would just play it on loop. Exactly. And so I became obsessed with these snails and Whiplash in particular because Sam Jackson was so fantastic. So that's listen. I could go a lot of different ways with animated movies because they would all be from like 2010 to 2013. I got those animated movies on.
You were a brief expert.
I absolutely was. That period, I got it locked down. So. All right, man. Well, that'll do it. So thank you very much for coming and joining the Cowboy Chronicles for your first time.
Yeah.
And we'll have to have you back at some point this year, as long as they still have a football team for the next the next 8 weeks. I don't know. They keep firing people every week. We don't know what's going to happen. But again, thank you for watching, and remember to go and drop your score prediction in the comments so you can win a beer that I'll drink for you next week right here on the Cowboy Chronicles.